everyone, it's Holly and I'm back with another transportation video, and today we're going to talk about boats. I'm so overwhelmed by talking about boats because I was like, boats, they're boats. How hard can it be? There are so many boat routes. I cannot possibly go through them. So normally I would tell you, like in the monorail video I told you this, like the stops and everything. I cannot do that here because even I don't always remember them. So like we're gonna do the best we can here. So I think boats are probably the second most common form of transportation, just because they're the most available outside of buses. So you can take boats from Epcot to Hollywood Studios if you were trying to park hop. You can also take them between parks and hotels, as well as just hotels in general. So some of the hotels that have boats that run from them to somewhere are things like the Boardwalk, Yacht Beach Club, and Swan and Dolphin. Their boats will typically go to Epcot and Hollywood Studios. You will also usually have boats running from Fort Wilderness, Wilderness Lodge, Contemporary, Polynesian, and the Grand Floridian to Magic Kingdom. You'll also have boats that run from the Port Orleans, Riverside, and French Quarter, Saratoga Springs, and Old Key West. I believe that's it, to Disney Springs. You also have the large ferry boats that hold like hundreds of people that go from the transportation and ticket center over to Magic Kingdom. So like I said in the monorail video, the transportation and ticket center is the parking lot for Magic Kingdom. So once you park, you then have to get on a form of transportation to get to the park. Whereas the other parks, you just park in the parking lot and go right in. Usually the boats start running about 30 minutes prior to park opening if they're going for when they're going to the parks, and they run for about an hour and a half after the parks close. You may have to transfer, so like in the Magic Kingdom area, if you want to get to a hotel, like maybe this is where I get so confused. There's different routes, and sometimes it'll change based on what's going on. There's usually signs up and it'll tell you a color flag, like a red flag, and they'll say like red flag going to Grand Floridian and Polynesian, green flag going to Fort Wilderness and Wilderness Lodge, that kind of thing. Plus there are always cast members on the dock that can help you if you get confused or anything, or if you want to know like how to transfer, they'll let you know that too. Like if you were at the Grand Floridian hypothetically and you needed to go to Fort Wilderness to go to one of the best things in the world, the Hoop-Dee-Doo Review, which will be coming back. I maintain, if I just keep saying it, it will come back, because my dream in life is to be the can-can girl, and I just need to lose some weight in order to be the can-can girl, but it will happen. Anyways, moving on. You would take like a boat from the Grand Floridian to the Magic Kingdom, and then take a boat from the Magic Kingdom to Fort Wilderness. And so I think I've talked about this before. It's always important to schedule a lot of time because you're gonna have to wait most likely for another boat to show up. Also the boats, the main boats that aren't the big ferry boats, they probably hold like 25 to 40 people, I don't know, during non-COVID times. There's no standing on the boats for the most part. They do have you stand sometimes, but usually they try to have you sit. And some of the boats are bigger or smaller, and they'll kind of rotate them out as needed, but none of them are as big as the ferry boats. They're open air, the majority of them, so that's something to keep in mind. Now, I don't ever feel like I'm too hot on a boat, because when you're on the boat, you get that like fresh air blowing, because even if there's no wind in the air at all, like you are creating wind with the boat. However, I have been cold on a boat before. That has definitely happened, and man is that wind cold. Like if you get down into like the 60s or the 50s, which maybe is fine, you can just throw on like a light jacket maybe, but then the wind, oh, then it's cold. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. Plus potential if it's raining or anything like that. Obviously if they think you're in danger, they're not going to run the boats, but just a little bit of rain. But if you're open air, you're going to get hit with rain, so that's something to keep in mind. With COVID, they are kind of reducing the routes that the boats are taking. So not all of the boats that would normally be running between all of the places are running right now. And on the boats themselves, they are doing social distancing. So having only so many people sit and having benches blocked out so that you are separated from each other. I do think that boats are some of the most scenic ways to get around. Like, I do think, especially at night, like the Epcot area resorts, taking the boat from International Gateway, which is where the boat goes to and from at Epcot. It's not the front of the park, it's the back of the park at World Showcase, to like the Epcot area resort. So like in January we stayed at the Yacht Club. I think that area is so beautiful at night with like the boardwalk lit up and all these hotels, and it's just so pretty and scenic and relaxing, and I love it. And I'm not a huge boat person, but I love a good Disney boat. Cannot tell a lie. So I think it's fun. It's not always the fastest, and sometimes it can be a little stressful trying to figure out if you're on like the right launch or anything, but it is fun, and they usually have music playing on the boats, and the boat captains are usually really fun and try to be funny, and I really appreciate that, and you don't get that with a lot of the transportation cast members. I think they just don't have like the option or like the ability to do it, but the boat ones can. Also, the other thing with boats is you are typically waiting on a boat dock. So that can be annoying sometimes during certain times of the year. Now, during the day, it can be frustrating sometimes because there's really no cover at a lot of the, especially the resort boat docks. You could be standing in the sun waiting for your boat. But I have definitely been at Fort Wilderness when there were so many bugs by the water, which you're just gonna have bugs by the water. They weren't mosquitoes. There aren't really a lot of mosquitoes at Disney World, but they were like these like gnats. I just remember there being like a swarm of them, and they were like in this like one like 3-foot spot, and everybody would be like trying to get around them and everything. So you're just gonna have that as you're standing on water, like by open water. It's gonna happen. So it is just something to remember. Like, it would never stop me from taking a boat, but it can be kind of annoying, I guess. But I love boats. I think they're a fun way to get around, and I would definitely recommend them. And thank you so much for watching and hearing me talk about Disney boats, and I will see you next time. Bye!